thank you for what all of you do. I think, I'm a former CIA officer and Pentagon official. I did 3 tours alongside the military in Iraq, and I was a military spouse. So thank you for working on this very important issue. A couple of years ago in 2020, when I was in the House, I had a bunch of veterans come up to me actually at a veteran event in Howell, Michigan, and say, they just had no idea what they were eligible for, right? Typical, like, I heard there's programs, but I don't know. And so we wrote, along with senators on this committee, something called the Solid Start Act that was signed into law in 2022, which required the VA to reach out 3 times in the first year of separation to ensure that we're showing our, all the services that the VA has. Again, many of these would be solved by opting out instead of opting in if we had just kind of signed people up for VA healthcare originally. But this was my attempt at least having some outreach. And it's good, but I think the thing that I'm struggling with is, with all the programs that you all wonderfully do, how do we make sure that people even have any idea? And while signing up for something and checking a card and all that might have worked with veterans of my age, right, the 9/11 era, the newest veterans are going to be coming out of service with no even history of reading their snail mail, of even reading email. It's all digital, right? It's all, how do we get to them? So how do we, I guess this is a question I'm going to just, because I maybe ask Jared if you could answer, or Mr. Lyon, excuse me. How do you amalgamate all the services so that our newest veterans will have a one-stop shop? And then how do you make it available in a form that they want to consume it in, not what their parents' generation wanted to consume it in?
So first off, thank you for your service as well, Senator. And I appreciate the question. I wish there were an easier answer, and I'm not sure that there is. It starts with organizations like ours here that have been invited to testify today, and we're grateful for those invites. We collaborate outside of rooms like this too, which is important. But I think that something that should be known is the majority of us that are going to get out are going to be enlisted like I was. And the majority of those that get out as enlisted are not going to retire. And when we think about the localized aspect of transition and returning back home to a small town in Michigan or anywhere in the country, it starts with those units. I mean, people don't get out of the Army, they get out of their unit. They don't get out of the Navy, they get out of the Navy from a ship. They're getting out at the smallest level of service. And if we tied officer promotion evals, for instance, to the transition success of their troops, you would see a shocking improvement in the transition process. Yes. So that's one radical idea for you, Senator.
Yeah, I like that one. That's good. I just think we need to be thinking about how the next generation is going to be consuming their information. And, I was pushing for, hey, let's move from snail mail, because people don't know their addresses, where they're going to end up when they separate. So let's at least go to email. Like, I was pushing for the big development of taking their email address when they separated their civilian email address. But I think we need to think differently, particularly since our private sector companies certainly know how to target different communities and pump them the algorithms. Like, I want to pump the veteran the algorithm of hey, there's a new program. You can get discounted Disney tickets. Hey, there's a whatever. Whatever
at the unit level, that's the first sergeant or the chief, right? Have them there, meeting their troops kneecap to kneecap where they are.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So how do we make sure, given that so many of your organizations, they're not affiliated with the government in any way, it's just really good people wanting to do good things for our veterans, how do we make sure that there's some strategic use of resources and we don't have repetitive organizations, you don't have what we call silos of excellence over here that don't talk to each other? I don't know if, Mike, you want to take that, or who wants to take that, but I'm worried that we have all this great effort, but it's not at all, it's sometimes redundant in the effort.
Thank you, Senator. And you are 100% correct. There is incredible repetition within the support space and duplication of effort. I think there was a great component called out from a cohesive and collaboration perspective, a national veteran strategy to better identify the guidelines and principles, and then a national veteran data commons, like Mr. Lyons said, about integrating disparate data sets together, pulsed in with state agency data, with community-based organization data, data mapped, parsed, standardized, to basically have real-time needs and demand signals of what veterans and military families need at the national level. So a strategy and a data-informed strategy is what I
I
would
feel
recommend.
like if you gave this to a bunch of really smart 24-year-old programmers, like, okay, we have all this data, how are we going to, maybe it's you, how are we going to make this easy and accessible, and we could get at this problem? But my time is over. Thank you, Chairman.